students of second and third year. Oman.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث.
Good morning, guys. This is Aparna here from fourth year. So I'll be speaking about a bit about knowledge from our Indian culture. So in Sanskrit, Jnanam is the word used to denote sacred knowledge. Gya means to know or to become aware of, and means self. Thus, Jnanam means to know or to become aware of the self. From this, it is very clear that sacred knowledge is basically something by which you know oneself. So it can be acquired through observation, insight, intuition, intelligence, understanding, study, learning, and contemplation upon higher truths of God, religion, philosophy, scriptures, world, and existence, which includes science as well. So I like to speak about what Vidya is. So Vidya is basically comes from the Sanskrit word. The root is Vid. Vid means basically correct knowledge in the field of science or learning. Basically, it is to know science or anything like science, learning, philosophy, or factual knowledge. It is to reason upon. That is knowing, finding, acquiring, and understanding. So, the first shloka which I'll say here is Annadanam param danam vidyadanam atha param annena shanika triptir gyavat jivan cha vidyaya. So in this beautiful Subhashita, the poet describes about the difference between food and knowledge. Even the provided food is of great importance, but the knowledge that we acquire is even more important. While the food lasts for a few moments until we are hungry, again, the skill or knowledge that we acquire takes the responsibility of taking care of us for the entire life. So the second Subhashita goes like this. Vidya dadati vinayam, vinaya dayati patratam, patratvad dharmapnoti, dhanat dharmam tatha sukham. These are the words that describe a person after the accumulation of the previous quality, starting with vidya or knowledge. So this means that vidya is knowledge or skill. The knowledge leads to humbleness. Humbleness attains worthiness. Worthiness comes from wealth, and from wealth we start doing good deeds. From that, we are in the constant process of experiencing joy. So to summarize, knowledge is an important first step to attain a joyful state in life, and the sole goal of a human life is to be in that blissful state of mind for as long as the period is possible while spending the least. So that's very important for you all. Hope you enjoy your first year and the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Noman and Aparna. Respected director and heads of departments, deans, beloved students, and dear parents who are watching this program online. A very good morning to all of you. On behalf of the entire BITS family, I extend a very warm welcome to the freshman batch of 2021. To begin with, I would like to congratulate you all for having secured a place here and going through all the admission formalities successfully. So with the completion of registration today, you will be officially called as BITSians. Congratulations. I'm glad that more than 50% of the students are present here today, and the rest of you who could not make it today due to travel or visa restrictions will be here soon. And I'm glad that you all have joined this orientation program online. Today, you're going to start a new journey of your life as BITSians, full of dreams, new challenges, and plans to achieve and reach several milestones. We are extremely happy and excited to welcome you all to this vibrant campus, and we certainly look forward to making your next 4 years as rewarding as possible. Being one of the top private engineering universities, we are committed to the highest standards of academic excellence, pervasive industry engagement, and an enriched campus life in providing you a plethora of opportunities in every aspect of your student life, including the extracurricular and co-curricular domains. And parents who are connected with us online, who are seeing us live today, thank you for entrusting your child to us, and congratulations on the choice you have made. I want you all to know that we lay emphasis on a well-rounded personality development of the students, and also in inculcating the good values, creativity, leadership, teamwork, and integrity. We strive to develop each BITSian to work with all vigor and values for the betterment of humanity, to be a better person and a leader of tomorrow. We regret not being able to host you all today, but we'll definitely find an opportunity to welcome you all for a get-together very, very soon. In fact, we have been planning with the director. Director himself has recommended or asked us to organize a get-together as early as possible with all the parents, and we're looking forward to know you better. Thanks a lot for your understanding and support throughout the admission process. You may have been in touch with one of my team members, comprising of Kavita, Shivali, Sriraj, and Venkat throughout the process. We have tried our best to assist you with the admission procedures and make it as simple as possible for you all. We'll be reaching out to you soon to get your feedback and on how your experience has been and how we could better it further. It's time for director's address now. I'll be happy to announce that Dr. Srinivasan Madapusi has taken over as the new director of BITS Pilani Dubai campus from this academic year. Before I invite him, I take this opportunity to introduce him. Professor Srinivasan Madapusi obtained his undergraduate degree in chemical engineering at the University of Madras and his MS and PhD degrees from the University of California, Davis. After a stint at CTC Technologies, he returned to academia to University of Texas, El Paso, and then he served as a faculty in chemical engineering at the National University of Singapore for over 20 years. Prior to joining BITS Pilani Dubai, he was professor of chemical engineering and associate dean in the School of Engineering at RMIT University, Melbourne, Australia. In addition, he was deputy director in the Center for Advanced Materials and Industry Chemistry and group leader, Innovative Resources and Waste Technologies. He has been a visiting scientist at the Center of Polymer Interfaces and Macromolecular Assemblies, University of California and Stanford University, USA, and the Tokyo Institute of Technology, Japan. He has served in the highest governing bodies of his affiliated institutions in Singapore as well as Australia. Professor Srinivasan's research interests are in nanoscale engineering for energy and environment, waste conversion to energy and resources, and environmentally sustainable and benign processing. He has over 180 publications, has supervised 9 masters and 23 PhD students, and has a patent in biomass conversion and IP disclosures in molecular electronics and wastewater remediation. He has served in the highest governing bodies of his affiliated institutions in Singapore and Australia, and has contributed to obtaining research funding of over AUD 6 million over the past 4 years. I request Dr. Srinivasan, Director and Senior Professor, BITS Pilani Dubai campus, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Ms. Afzal. People at the back, are you able to hear me? Firstly, congratulations to all of you on completing a milestone on embarking on a new and exciting chapter in your lives. I think most of us, if not all, will look back on our university days and say that was probably the best part of our lives. And we hope that you would also likewise experience this. Before I go further, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the faculty and staff here on this occasion of Teachers' Day. Their contributions are the ones that are going to help you, shape you, and lead you into the future. You are here at one of the premier institutions in India as well as in Dubai, and you have the unique opportunity to experience the best of humanities, science, engineering, and technology, especially in a global setting. Not only that, the campus and the hostel life that BITS has to offer is also unique. You will hear about the numerous clubs and organizations that you can participate in and grow your overall personality, in addition to making lifelong friends. I've been given a time of about half an hour, but I'm not going to bore you all that time. We are going to do some fun things. The first thing we are going to do is to take a quiz. So before you all get up and run away, I would like to say that this is just a fun activity, very informal, and this is just for us to take a look back at our past and see what kind of people we have been. So the game or the quiz, it is called Never Have I Ever. So the process is like this. The questions will be shown here. The way you would respond to it is to capture the QR code on your mobile phones. So that will take you to a Google Sheet where you can answer for each question yes or no. So after maybe 2 or 3 minutes that you would take, we will have a look at all the answers on the screen. This is anonymous. We don't know who answered what, but we would just look at this as a pie chart to get an idea of the percentages. That's all. Just raise your hands if you have difficulty with the QR code or getting into the Google Sheet. Has everybody been able to get into the Google Sheet? Okay, just a clarity about maybe one of the questions or a couple of questions. Okay, I'll just quickly go through the questions for your benefit in case you have any questions about it. So this is all about things that we have done or not done in the past. Again, as I said, no right or wrong answer, just a fun way to look back at what we have done about ourselves. First question is about whether you have tried any martial arts moves in front of the mirror. The second one, I think that's probably obvious. Have you broken the 5-second rule? Does anybody know what that 5-second rule is? Okay, what we say stays inside this room, okay? So you are eating something and accidentally you drop it on the floor. There is an informal rule that says if you are picking it up within 5 seconds, then there will be no germs or bugs attached to that. How true it is, I do not know. Don't quote me on this. So the question is, have you broken that 5-second rule? That is, this is the last piece, you really want to eat it, so you broke the 5-second rule and ate it even after it was 5 seconds had lapsed. I think the rest of the questions are straightforward. So let's wait for another minute and then we can look at the answers. Have most of you been able to complete? Okay. Let's look at the answers. We've collected quite a number of responses, and we hope those who are seeing this live stream are also able to participate. Let's just have a look at what the responses are. Okay, first question. Tried martial arts. I guess evenly split. We do not know what the error margin is, but let's assume that we have an equal split for both. Oops, sorry. Aha, now the truth comes out. It's good. Okay, let's look at the positive spin on this. We'll see more about taking positive spins. You're building up your immunity. Stay there for more than 24 hours. A good 3/4 of us. And you are not even into university yet. 24 hours is not going to be enough for you, I can tell you that. So what does this tell about us? More than 80% have texted the wrong person. Yes, lots of people to contact, and also very short attention span. We are not paying attention to what we are doing, isn't it? So let's just hope it doesn't lead us into embarrassing situations. Okay. This is your next to-do things in the next 4 years. Let's see whether the blue will increase. Lots of fun things to do in Dubai, if you're from elsewhere, or in this region. So let's look for more things for us to do. This is a message for your parents, not really about you. So more than 3/4 of us have taken the shortcut to cleaning. You're all going to be, or many of you in the hostels are going to be on your own. Maybe you're expecting your parents to come in and clean. We don't know. We'll wait and see on that. This is an overwhelming majority, more than 90% of us. Yes. So, message, all of us here are here to seek fame and fortune. Maybe, yes, we'll wait and see on that. It will probably, by the end of 4 years, it will turn blue, the whole thing. Okay. Now this is that 42%, or rather 57 probably is less believable. This is probably the highest percentage of all the questions, I think. Again, look at the positive spin. We are learning how to behave politely in society. When you smile, when you don't have to, when you don't want to, that means you're trying to be polite. So you're able to socially adjust yourself. There's always a silver lining. My goodness, this is, I did not expect that. I have no idea what you have been doing in your lives. Sticking your fingers into sockets. Okay. More care in the future? Yes, sir. If you feel it, it's a shock. Okay, again, a message for the parents who are watching. And you have to thank yourselves that this is not identified. It is anonymous. Blame your friend, blame your neighbor. You're not alone. That's it. Anyone but you. Yes. Okay. Yeah, this is something to be expected. You bumped into something when you're looking at the phone. So again, this is sort of the nature of life that we're leading, where we are preoccupied. We think we are multitasking, but this is evidence that we are not. I think that's the last one. I guess I'll say a couple of words and then start the video. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is we're going to watch a video. Just to give a sort of an introduction to that, you may have heard of the magazine called National Geographic. It's been in existence for a very long time, and it is well known for the articles on humanity and nature, as well as for its photography. Now, there was a photographer for National Geographic called David Jones, an American. You may have seen his videos. He has put out a number of talks, TED Talks, based on his experiences and things that he has learned out of his stint at National Geographic. I would like you to watch one of these videos now, and then we will see what the context is in terms of what we are trying to do.
I spent a large part of my life as a photographer for National Geographic. World's greatest job. Well, that job, it changed my life in a very surprising way. And that's the story I want to share with you tonight. It began long before I ever picked up a camera. My family had taken the magazine for years. Time I got to be able to read, I'd grab it when it came into the house, I'd take it upstairs, I'd read it at night. My dad would say, turn off the light, DeWitt, go to bed. I'd turn the light back on. You know, I'd get a flashlight. I'd stay up and stare at the pictures in this little yellow book. Pictures that showed me the possibilities the world had to offer. I never thought I'd work for them. I never thought I'd shoot for them. But they were already changing the way I looked at the world. Because the Geographic has an extraordinary vision. So simple, yet so profound. What they charged me with, every time they sent me out, was to celebrate what was right with the world, rather than wallowing in what was wrong with it. That's why we keep these little yellow magazines. It's a national sacrilege to throw one away, you know that. If all the Geographics in the world disappeared at one time, half the houses would fall in on themselves. Because they're supported by big yellow columns in the basement. Why? Because they celebrate what's right with the world. When I first began at the Geographic, I had no idea how powerful that vision would be, how much it would change my life. But our vision controls our perception, and our perception becomes our reality. From the highest mountains, to rivers drenched in sunlight, to waterfalls and rainbows. Everywhere I looked, there would be amazing beauty for me to photograph. And you know, in the Geographic's view, man was not something separate from this, just as magical as anything else on the planet. And the more I just went out and celebrated the best in humanity, the more I could see it. I could see it, and I could see it in the faces of those at work, or the body language of those at play, those in their youth, or in their age. I thought this would be a good picture before he smiled, right? I could see it. I could see that light. That light that shines not on us, but from within us. From within us when we have the courage to let it out. It was the same light I'd seen in nature that didn't seem to have to trust to expose itself, but just graced us every day with the delicacy of a flower or the light of a breaking storm. And yet, you know, the more I shot for the Geographic, the more I found this strange conflict growing up between the worldview of the Geographic and the worldview that I'd been raised in since I was a kid. I mean, you all know it. The law of the jungle, eat or be eaten, my win is your loss, second place is the first loser. God, I once saw that on a t-shirt. That is a very depressing way to look at life. You know, far too many of us do see the world in that light. A world based on fear and scarcity and competition. But that's not what nature was showing me. Nature was showing me incredible beauty and possibility, standing just beyond the rat race, saying, hello, hello. I mean, come on, Mother Nature never stood in front of a forest and said, there is one great photograph hidden here. One photographer will find it, and the rest of you will be hopeless losers. Nature said, how many cards you got, DeWitt? Bring it on. Bring it on. I'll fill it up. I'll fill it up with beauty and possibility beyond your wildest imaginings, right down to my tiniest seed. And that was just a much more elegant philosophy, a much more compassionate way of looking at the universe. And at some point, I just decided to embrace it. I just decided that if I had a choice between a world based on scarcity and fear and one based on possibility, then man, I was choosing possibility. And no matter how dry and desolate, no matter how bleak and devoid of possibilities a situation might seem, that if I could just celebrate the best in it, in this case just by dropping down into that slot canyon and looking back the other way, I could find a perspective that would transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Through that lens of celebration, I could see one of nature's most important lessons. There's more than one right answer. There's more than one right answer. There are 1,000 ways to come at any challenge, to find that extraordinary view. And I know it so easily from my time at the Geographic. They sent me up to the town of Smith River in Northern California. They raise about 80% of the Easter lilies in the country around that village. That's the story I had to tell. And I've got a perspective where I got picked lilies and unpicked lilies and the boy picking them. One right answer. A pretty good one. But as a photographer, I never think of stopping there. I took this picture, immediately I grabbed another lens, walked over a couple rows, knelt down and found another right answer. Same parameters of the problem, now seen from a totally different point of view. And my favorite right answer that day was this one. This is an advanced levitation technique that I picked up along the way. So, 3 right answers. So many things begin to change when you come at the world from that perspective of more than one right answer. I mean, first of all, you never look for just one right answer. There's always more. But then as you begin to find more and more of them, you just get more and more comfortable with reframing obstacles into opportunities. Geographic sent me to the Selkirk Mountains of British Columbia. Gorgeous area. I'm wandering around. I found a field of dandelions. I should have been ecstatic, but I wasn't. I don't know why. Instead of grabbing my cameras and running into it, I took a snapshot. I said, I don't know, the light's not quite right. I'll come back tomorrow. I didn't engage. We all know what happens when you don't engage. Tomorrow turns into the next day turns into the next week, and by the time I got back to that field, no more dandelions. I had puffballs. I wanted dandelions, I had puffballs, and I'm just about to leave when this little voice in my head says, DeWitt, what's here to celebrate? What's right with this situation? You wanted dandelions. You got puffballs. 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 Pretty soon I'm down on the ground with the puffballs. I'm rolling around with the puffballs. I'm on top of the puffballs. I'm underneath the puffballs. And all of a sudden, whoa! Whoa! That extraordinary view. It always seemed to be there when I could look through that lens of celebration. Extraordinary image. But I can already hear the cynics grumbling. DeWitt, you are such a Pollyanna. You know, the world is in flames. War, terrorism, poverty, global warming, and you're shooting puffballs? Well, to the cynics I say, change your lens. Celebrating what's right is not a perspective that denies the very real pain and suffering that exists on this planet. Rather, it's a perspective that puts those problems into a larger, more balanced context. A context when we can see that there's far more right with the world than there is wrong with it. When I put on that lens of celebration, when I really allow myself to see and connect with the beauty of the world, I feel like I'm a cup that's so full it's just about to overflow. I feel like I'm falling in love. That's what it feels like. I mean, think about it. Think about a time when you've been in love and you get up in the morning and you stagger into the bath and you go, the toothbrush. What a miracle. You know? It's followed by the soap dish and the towel, you know? I mean, the whole world is beautiful, and you are so full and so fired up. And that doesn't surprise me, because when we're in love, we're in touch with a source of incredible energy. We call it passion. Passion. What most of us wouldn't give to be connected to that energy of passion on a daily basis. Well, extraordinary visions do that. They release passion. So no matter how strange a situation that I walk into, the first thing I'm going to ask is, what's here to celebrate? What am I falling in love with? Well, in this case, it's easy, because that happens to be my daughter. Most dads would help their daughter in this situation. But it didn't matter. You know, whenever I could get a lock on what was right with the situation, then I was passionate, energized to enhance that and get rid of everything else. Instead of starting, as we so often do, by griping about what's wrong with the situation, what's right with it? Because that connects us with our passion. That energizes us. Celebrating what's right gives us the energy to find that next right answer. As Michelangelo once said, I saw an angel in the stone and carved to set it free. I saw an angel in the stone and carved to set it free. Every day, we get to choose what lens we see the world with. It's our choice. And you know, the more I do that, the more I choose the lens of celebration, the more I find, both in my photography, but way more important in my life, that the difference between a good frame and a great frame is far, far closer than I ever would have dreamed. Good frame, a morning glory on the beach in Maui, 10 inches away. Great frame, great frame. Good frame, a cowboy in Bryce Canyon, believe it or not, named Binky. Binky. I'm taking Binky's picture and I'm loving it. But then I just backed Binky up about 30 feet into the doorway of the barn. Great frame, great frame. Good frame, the Golden Gate Bridge at sunset with a new moon rising. Man, how does it get any better? 15 minutes later, great frame. Change your lens, change your life. So I lecture all over the country, you know, all different kinds of people. And you know what? They all hunger for this lens of celebration. They all want to try it on. We all have it. It's right there waiting to be picked up. Why don't we do it? Well, maybe it's because every day the internet and the media bombard us with all that's wrong with the world. And it's so easy to buy into it. It's so easy to stare into that darkness. But wouldn't you rather focus on the light rather than the dark? Wouldn't you rather focus on what's right rather than what's wrong? That's the change we make when we put on that lens of celebration. Do I have that lens on all the time? No, come on, I'm human. But a long time ago, I was given a touchstone and a guide that, should I ever take it off, help me put it right back on. And I'd like to give both of those to you tonight by telling you the story of how they came into my possession. I was photographing on an island off the coast of British Columbia, and it wasn't going well. The weather was gloomy, so were my pictures, but you know, I was getting ready to go out there again. I got a big camera bag and a huge tripod, and I looked up, and on the steps of the lodge where I was staying, there sat a 5-year-old boy. A 5-year-old boy with a very big smile on his face. And he looked down at me and he said, "Do you have a camera?" I was festooned with cameras. You know? I said, "Yeah, I got one." And then he raised his hand, and I realized why he asked, because he had a magic camera. It was yellow. It had a blue lens. It had a red eyepiece and a turquoise rewind knob with a little straw coming out of it. And he said, "Can I photograph with you?" Well, that was about the last thing I wanted to have happen, but I didn't know how to say no, so I said, "Oh, come on." So we went down into the woods, and I got my first shot. And then this kid was so cute. He squeezed in front of the tripod like this, backed up against it, raised his hand. "Did you get it?" "Yeah." And again, that smile. Well, we kept going. Me shooting and grousing, him shooting and smiling, And it started to rain. It started to rain. And I was setting up, what I thought was the last dismal shot of a dismal day. And he's just sitting next to me in the grass, looking very intently at all of my